My parents believe it's my fault the divorce with my unfaithful husband, and they stopped talking to me. But now they want to apologize because my ex is in the news for an atrocious crime. This is quite sensitive, and I'm in a bit of a hurry, so please ignore any spelling mistakes I make. This is about my ex-husband, my family, and me, of course. Kevin, my ex-husband, 27, and I, the same age, got divorced 3 years ago. We met in college, we got married right after graduating, and we ended things after a year and a half of marriage. But my parents adored him and immediately assumed it must be my fault. In fact, saying they loved him is an understatement. They were probably in love with him and treated him like their own son, actually, even better than my brother. They liked him so much that they stayed in contact with him even after our divorce. I am the eldest of 3 siblings. I have a younger sister, 22, and a brother, 20, and they all cut me off immediately after I asked for the divorce, because they wanted me to sit down and work things out with Kevin. But I wasn't willing to give him a chance, and I had my reasons. Despite being pregnant, I asked for the divorce because I found out he had been cheating on me with one of our college friends. But he and his parents said that since I was in my 2nd trimester when I found out, I should try to fix things with him, go to therapy, and save the marriage. However, I didn't care about any of that. I knew my parents wouldn't be happy, but I still asked for the divorce because, for me, my dignity was more important than anything else. Of course, it hurt a lot that everyone cut me off without a second thought, even my siblings, but nothing could be done about it. For the last 3 years, after my daughter was born, I've had almost no contact with Kevin or anyone in the family. But they still get together from time to time, and my friends tell me about it. They are the only support system I've had, and aside from the monthly alimony, I receive nothing from them, no messages, no calls, nothing. At first it hurt, but now I've gotten used to it. I remember for sure that when I told my family I was asking Kevin for a divorce and explained the reason to them, they tried to get me to back down. When I refused to listen, my parents told me they were going to cut me off. They assumed Kevin couldn't have cheated on me and that it must all be my fault somehow. They thought I was crazy, and they made my siblings cut me off too, because they didn't want to expose them to a lost cause like me. I'm adding all this so people know exactly how they treated me. Anyway, all that is in the past, and little by little I learned to live without them. Fortunately, I had my daughter, my job, and my friends, so I managed. Now, 3 years later, they have finally contacted me because they found out how horrible Kevin is. It surprised me too, but I imagine it must be worse for them, because they've kept in contact with him all these years. Recently, he was in the local news because of a truly horrible incident. I don't want to go into too much detail, but basically, he's in trouble because he tried to corner one of the interns who works at his office and made unwanted advances on her. Apparently, this had been going on for almost 2 months, and he was making her uncomfortable. So she decided to record the incident and then report it directly to the police. I've seen some clips of the video, and it's really bad. It disgusts me that I had anything to do with this man in the past. The worst part is that this girl, the intern, is only 18 years old. All of this is truly disturbing. Over the last few days, I've received messages of comfort from practically everyone I know, which is weird because I have nothing to do with him. But I appreciate the concern. The weirdest thing that has happened is that a couple of days ago, right after the news came out, my parents and my siblings called me crying, asking for my forgiveness. They told me they had no idea what kind of person Kevin was. They started apologizing and told me they had made a huge mistake. They wanted me to forgive them and to fix things with them, but I just listened and told them there was no chance of that happening. Then, I hung up. I mentioned this to a cousin, and he told me that, apparently, they are being shamed by the entire family. Everyone is criticizing them for supporting a degenerate like my ex, and for having kept him in the family. So that's the summary of the last few years with my family. And even though my parents are now going through something bad, because they've been stuck with my ex's reputation, I don't feel bad. I feel happy that they are facing consequences for what they did, and I am far from wanting to forgive them. It's very easy to abandon me when they preferred my ex, and now I'm not going to make it so easy for them to get their daughter back. Well, I'm not going to let them get their daughter back, meaning me, because I'm not going to give them my forgiveness. Update 1. I've been surprised that so many people are happy that my parents are getting their karma. I thought I would be the only one feeling this way, but there are many people who share these feelings. I guess people hate horrible people and a good revenge story lifts their spirits. I haven't changed my mind about forgiving them, so those who told me to stand firm can rest easy. That's what I plan to do. The last few days have been very confusing and mentally exhausting for me, because even though I have nothing to do with Kevin right now, I know for a fact that we were together for a long time, and it makes me a bit sick, this man. Not only were we together, we have a daughter together. No matter how much I wish it, I can't change that. I don't know why, but it's very disturbing to think that if I had never found out about his infidelity, we would still be together. In fact, I don't even know with how many other women he cheated on me or how many women he has made feel uncomfortable and scared. I highly doubt this is his first time. Even now, a lot of new details about him are coming out. Many women are posting about him, and it's been very stressful for me. I've been contacted several times by the local news for my comments, and random people have been reaching out to me, either to tell me I'm strong or to tell me I'm a horrible person. I don't understand why, and I've never been through anything like this, so, naturally, I feel quite stressed. I know for a fact that none of this is my fault. I couldn't have known what kind of person he really was, and if I had known, I never would have gotten together with him. I'm glad my parents are in this situation, but they are indirectly dragging me into it. It's really frustrating because I don't understand how I'm supposed to be held accountable for my ex-husband's decisions. We haven't been together for the last 3 years, I haven't even spoken to him, and yet, somehow, people have concluded that I have to be approached about this. My solidarity with all the people who have had to face some kind of weird behavior from him, but I am not responsible for that. I also don't want to talk about him with anyone, nor do I want to hear about him, because that was a very traumatic stage of my life, and I just want to forget it and move on. I don't think I'm a bad person for wanting that, and even if I were, I don't care. Update 2: It's been over a week since my parents last tried to contact me, and after that I blocked them. I had already blocked them before, but they used a new number to contact me. This time they decided to send me an email, and they sent it to my work address since they know I check that email more often. It was the same thing. They said they didn't know, that they wouldn't have behaved that way if they had known, that they wanted to talk to me and that they wanted me to forgive them, blah blah blah. In this email they even said that, if not for them, I should at least think about the fact that my daughter deserves to have her grandparents in her life, which I found a bit irritating because she is 3 years old, and until now she hasn't known them, and they seemed perfectly fine with that. I don't think it's a need she can't handle. I think she'll be fine without them, since they never cared about her before this. Honestly, all the emotional and sentimental drama they put in the email really didn't make any difference to me. In fact, it irritated me a lot, to be honest, because every time I think about it, it just reminds me of the fact that something so horrible had to happen for my own family to realize that they should be on my side here, and not on his. I even wonder if they also knew about his predatory behavior, but since it wasn't public it didn't bother them. I don't understand it. Back then, when I was getting divorced, they should have supported me without question. Now they say we are family, but back then, that wasn't the case, or it didn't have the weight they want to give it now. They knew for certain that he had been cheating on me while I was pregnant with his baby, because they never disputed that, so how was that not enough for them to take my side in this? Everyone wanted me to forgive him, and to keep pretending that everything was fine. It really wasn't, and when I refused to play by their rules, I suddenly became the villain and a lost cause. No one cared about me for the next 3 years until now. So yes, I think they should keep choosing to be on Kevin's side. Let's see where that leads them now, because, to be honest, I have no intention of forgiving them at any point. They really hurt me. They shattered me irreversibly, and that cannot be fixed. I left Kevin, no matter how much I loved him, because I knew that what he had done could not be forgiven. Now it's the same with my family. They can send me all the emails they want, but it's not going to make any difference. I've already made my decision. Update 3. It's been 3 weeks since my last update, and after that email I blocked them. But that didn't stop them. They kept creating new accounts and sending me emails asking for my forgiveness, and it was the same thing over and over again. At one point, I got really frustrated and thought I would just contact them to let them know that this wasn't going to work. But then, that would be playing their game. Talking to them and communicating with them, wasn't that exactly what they wanted? So I decided not to do it. This continued for a couple of days, almost 2 weeks, but since last week I haven't heard from them. I thought this was over, but now it's my siblings who are trying hard to get in touch with me. I can completely understand why they are so desperate for my forgiveness, because they want to show everyone that I've forgiven them, and that everything is fine in our family. They don't want to be seen as the villains. I think I mentioned before that the whole family is against them right now. No one wants to talk to them, and they've practically been isolated by everyone. I don't think they're enjoying that very much. They already started being rejected by people when they didn't feel the need to be kind to me while I was going through the divorce. But even then, at least the family kept in touch with them out of obligation. Now, all of that has gone out the window, and they've been marginalized by everyone because of how they treated me in the past. I think they are now facing the consequences of their own actions, but I imagine they can't handle it. Anyway, my siblings contacted me. They sent me a message from a new number, saying they were very sorry about everything that had happened. But I had to know that they hadn't actually wanted to cut me off from the family in this way. Apparently, according to what they say in the message, they fought hard against our parents, but it was useless because our parents had been very strict about what they wanted. They didn't think they could fight them because back then they both depended on them financially. My brother, in fact, still does. They claim that they were very young, so they really had no other choice but to do what our parents asked. So, if not them, I should at least consider forgiving my siblings because they really had no other options. At least that's what they believe, but I don't agree with that. Honestly, I think they could have fought harder for me because I remember that, when we were growing up being the oldest, I always took their side, no matter whether I got along with our parents or not. I always got along with them and thought they loved me. So it was a huge betrayal for me when, during the divorce, they decided to take our parents' side instead of mine. And the fact that they were financially dependent on them doesn't mean much to me. It might sound silly, but I don't care, because if they really wanted to talk to me to comfort me, they could have contacted me later when things had calmed down a bit. But for 3 years, they didn't bother to get in touch with me, and it's not like our parents would have found out. They aren't tech geniuses. My siblings could have easily hidden it from them and talked to me. It was a choice, a conscious choice, that they made by not doing any of this. And now, they want to act as if they had always been on my side, but they couldn't show it because of our parents. I don't buy it. I think they just want to be seen as the good guys now, just like our parents, so there's no real difference between all of them. Anyway, they contacted me recently and I didn't respond. I had nothing to say to them, to be very honest. What could I tell them after 3 years? It's not like I haven't imagined this in my head. I have, and I've always had very bad things to say to them. But now, since things have materialized, I don't feel like I should respond to them or engage with them at all because I know it's pointless. What I've lived through over the last 3 years and during the divorce, no one else knows because no one bothered to find out. And especially when it comes to my siblings, it hurt me a lot, even more than when my parents disowned me. And that apology comes too late for me, and it's too little for me to actually forgive them. It's too little to even consider forgiving them and leaving everything behind. Besides, I've already gotten used to life without these people, and I don't want to go back to being the person I was before. I don't think I can, realistically speaking, because I've gone through all of this alone, with emotional support only from my friends and no one else. So now I think it will be impossible for me to be the same person they knew before. I'm not that person anymore, and that's why I can't forgive them. None of them, to be honest. Not just my siblings. That's just how it is. Update 4. It's been a couple of days since my last update. When my siblings contacted me, I didn't respond, and after that, no one else messaged me or tried to contact me for a couple of days. I've been trying to get my life in order since my mental health, over the last few weeks, has been quite affected. Ever since Kevin was in the news, I've been feeling very uncomfortable all the time. But a couple of days ago, I made the active decision to stop thinking about these things because, what do they have to do with me? With that in mind, I decided to start planning a trip, but of course, my parents contacted me just when I had already decided to leave. They sent me another email, and this time I found out something new. Now everything makes even more sense. Apparently my sister is engaged. She's been with her boyfriend for the last 2 years. They're doing very well and he recently proposed to her. They were about to announce it on social media, but then the news about Kevin came out, and that ruined everything. In fact, since her fiancé's family knows that my family stayed in touch with Kevin, they were skeptical about moving forward with the wedding. But fortunately, my sister's fiancé loves her enough to convince his parents otherwise, so they are definitely getting married. The problem is that, because the whole family has turned against my parents and siblings, they are in a tough spot. If they don't fix things quickly, probably no one will show up to the event. They had even planned to have an engagement party next month, but now that's being questioned too, because as I said, no one in the family wants to talk to them. The only way to fix this would be to show people that I've forgiven them, and who knows, maybe people will follow my example and start talking to them again. After all, what bothers most people is how my family abandoned me when I needed them the most. They have a valid point. I definitely could solve this problem for them, or at least try, because I know that if I say something, my relatives might consider getting in touch with my family. It would be cold, but at least there would be some kind of contact, and they wouldn't completely isolate my family as they have been doing until now. But that would only be if I say something to indicate that I've decided to forgive my parents and siblings, and I'm trying to repair my relationship with them, which I am not trying to do at all. So, I don't feel the need to lie about it either, not even for the sake of their wedding or their happiness. I think right now my mental health is more important to me. Over the last few weeks, everything has been quite bad for me, and I don't think interacting with my family is going to make things better. It's only going to keep reminding me of everything I've been trying to forget. So, tough luck, but I don't think I'm going to help them with this. After all, it's not my responsibility to make sure the rest of the family is present for my sister, and that she doesn't end up looking like a fool. They dug this hole for themselves, and I'm not going to get them out of it either. And the fact that they have been contacting me for this reason, that my sister is getting married in a couple of months, and wants the rest of the family to be present, so that no one asks her parents uncomfortable questions, is even more insulting. I don't understand why they thought it would be a good idea to share this with me, because it only makes me feel like they were reaching out to me for their own benefit, and nothing else. Everything has to be for their own interests. Not even now could they apologize to me because they wanted to. They weren't really sorry for everything that had happened. They were contacting me only because there was going to be a wedding in the family and they wanted everything to go well. It's so insulting for me to think about it now. I can't even deal with it. Anyway, I already mentioned that I've made a decision about it and I'm not going to change my mind. I don't care about the wedding. I don't care about anything regarding them, and I'm going to move forward with my trip and ignore them for the rest of their days. It's over. I no longer consider them my family. I have nothing to do with them, and I don't want to have anything to do with them in the future either. I guess for them, it's more important to be considered good people by the rest of the family, rather than actually being good people. I know I'm writing this in a messy way, but honestly, everything they've done so far has me really upset. As if I haven't been through enough already, they feel the need to keep contacting me and keep bothering me no matter how I feel, even though I've made it very clear that I don't want anything to do with them. It's as selfish as it gets. But again, that's how they really are, so I'm not surprised by this. Update 5. I just got back from my trip. I went on a weekend getaway to the beach with a group of my friends, and I had a lot of fun. It was a good distraction from everything I've been going through, and they really supported me while I shared what was happening, so that was really good. And even though we had a good time, even that wasn't completely free of interruptions because, the day before we had to return, my nanny called me and told me that my parents had gone to visit me. My nanny has been with me since my daughter was little because, obviously, being a single mother, it would be almost impossible to survive without her and without a family to help me take care of her. Not only because I need to go out, but also because I have a job. Sometimes I also need to leave for work-related matters, and I knew I couldn't always count on my friends to help me because they also have their jobs and lives. So my nanny has practically been part of my small family, and she knows everything about my problems, including my relationship with my parents. Fortunately, that's why she was wise enough not to open the door when she realized it was my parents outside. She only called me after they left to let me know, and I was really glad she had the sense to handle the situation appropriately. Basically, she did exactly what I would have suggested without me having to tell her. And we were also lucky because my daughter stayed quiet when her nanny asked her to, because otherwise they would have given themselves away, and my parents would have known that she was avoiding them. Anyway, this was the call I received the day before returning home, and even though everything was fine and no real harm was done, because my daughter didn't end up meeting her grandparents, I made the decision to move. I don't know how they found out where I live, but I'm no longer interested in staying there. I've already started talking to my real estate agent, and I'm going to look for a place closer to my friends because, at the moment, I live in a fairly isolated neighborhood. Anyway, I'm glad I didn't have to interact with them directly, because I don't think I would have wanted that. Going on this trip really gave me a lot of clarity. I realized that I was giving them a lot of control over my life unintentionally, even though I didn't mean to. But automatically, the only way to deal with this is simply not to worry. I don't have to read their emails, I don't have to think about them. I just don't have to do any of that. So that's what I'm going to implement in my life now. Update 6. I had been talking to a lawyer recently, because I was planning to make a post talking about my ex's situation and my parents, but I wanted to be legally protected. I didn't want a defamation lawsuit or any nonsense that group of social misfits might try. I wanted to detach myself from my exes and my parents, problem with a post on my social media explaining the whole thing, and I wanted it to be reviewed by a lawyer. The lawyer gave me the green light and I posted it. Overall, it was well received, with people supporting me after telling my story with my ex and my parents. It was shorter than the post here, so there would be less chance of legal problems, but it was still a good summary. And except for other social misfits who still choose to see me as the bad guy, the post was a success. Although I'd like to believe it was more than a success, because it has revealed some things. Someone, a supposed friend of my sister, commented that my ex tried something he's accused of with my sister, and that my family covered it up. She said it hurt my sister, but she couldn't leave my family. My family talked to my ex and asked him to stop. One might think it could be someone just commenting to comment, but my sister wrote to me to at least delete the comment. Actually, she wanted me to delete the whole post, but I told her no, and she told me to at least delete the comment. I asked her if it was true because I needed to know, and she begged me to delete it. She hasn't confirmed it, but she hasn't denied it either, so I understand the comment had a lot of truth to it. I haven't deleted it, and it will stay there. It shows even more what kind of parents they are, and with all the comments and likes it has received, it's one of the top comments. Update 7. It's been a few weeks since my last update, and now I'm posting this from my new house. It's in a better location, closer to my friends, and it's more convenient for my nanny, who I already mentioned is like family to me. It's pretty perfect for me because it's not too far from my workplace, and in short, I think I was very lucky. I guess moving was a great decision after all. Anyway, enough about me. My sister's wedding is completely cancelled at this point. We have a new comment from the person who shed a lot of light on the matter. There's no profile picture and it looks like a new account, so I don't know exactly who it is, but I don't rule out contacting them personally to find out more. For now, they said that the fiancé found out about the whole thing and has decided to cancel the engagement, the relationship, everything. According to this anonymous source, the fiancé has doubts that she didn't accept my ex's advances. On the other hand, another source has confirmed to me that my parents have been receiving harassment from people for defending my ex, both for what he did recently and for the infidelity situation. And my father has a business, which is being visibly affected by all of this. No one wants to buy there knowing it's run by enablers of perverts. Those are the things I can tell you at the moment. Edit, I've written to this person, and they've told me other things. Like the fact that the advances toward my sister might have started when she was a minor, and if my math doesn't fail me, that was when I was still with him. Well, I'm even less likely to delete the comments on my post now. Update 8. In this post I won't talk about myself, but about all the consequences for my family and my ex-husband who have sunk together. Which I think is how it should be. They were together in abandoning me, and now I'll watch alone as they fall into the hell they created. To start, my ex has been sentenced for harassment to 1 year in prison. I guess he's only been convicted for being with adult women, because otherwise, the sentence is a bit pathetic. He's also had to pay a fine, but that's been it. I'm sorry that during this year he won't be able to pay child support, but when he gets out, it will be waiting for him. My parents have also fallen, but not in the same way. My father has had to close the family business, as there's only a sign on the door saying they've closed and thanking all their loyal customers. There's spray paint calling them enablers. My mother didn't work, so that was my parents' source of income. And indirectly my siblings, because my brother depended on them, and my sister has likely started to do so now that she's no longer with her fiancé. I haven't had more information from our anonymous source. So, with no wedding for my parents to attend, and no need to keep up appearances, I already feel more at ease. I haven't heard from them in a long time, so this might be the end of this problem.